Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Lakers get the win in Memphis, 128-112. Game one of the playoffs, first round, is in the books for our squad. LA fans, we got the win. We're up 1-0, and this was about as much fun as I've had watching the Lakers all season long. Honestly, I was screaming and hollering and jumping around and throwing stuff in positive ways. It was a good game to watch if you were a fan. A win is always a win, but there's something to be said for enjoying what you see. And I had a good time watching this basketball game as a Laker fan. Now, if I were a Memphis fan, this is a tough day, man, because you don't really know what's going on with Gm1. Uh, Kudos to AD for drawing the offensive foul on the situation. Gm1, you could tell by the angle that he was coming down that it was nothing good coming from that. And he landed on his hand. It seemed like his entire hand went backwards. Hopefully there's no broken bones, no ligament damage, nothing funny at all. He'll be ready to go for game two. But he looked concerned. He was in a mighty lot of pain. And looking at it from the eye test, it's bad. It's bad. So hopefully everything will go well. Prayers out to him as a competitor. I want him on the floor. I want to beat him fair and square. I don't want no easy nothing for us. That's easy for me to say sitting on the sidelines, but still, I want it to be fair and square. I don't want nobody to have no excuses about why the Lakers won this and won that. None of that. So, get well soon, Gm1. Also, very happy that Anthony Davis came back from his halftime injury. We didn't know what was going on for halftime with him. The last thing we had saw as fan base was that he said he couldn't feel his arm. But I'm guessing it was some type of a stinger that wasn't that big of a deal. He was able to get back out there and continue his massive onslaught on the defensive end. He put on a masterclass defensively for the ages, y'all. 7 blocks, 3 steals, 12 boards, 22 points, +2 on the plus minus, which is kind of surprising given how much he actually did for us. But just in total, he was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you're talking about 10 stats accounted for. 10 stats on the defensive end, 7 blocks, 3 steals. That's just, I tell you, he's the best defensive player I've ever seen. He really is. Even though he makes decisions that I don't understand, like fouling people in the three-point lines on the stretch of basketball games. But that didn't happen tonight. What happened tonight was he was absolutely fantastic and did a number on the Memphis Grizzlies. We had 11 blocks as a team, and of course he had 7 of them. So needless to say, we don't win this game without the heroics of Anthony Davis defensively and offensively. Also, I've been complaining about LeBron James a lot, but this was one of the games I was really pleased with his performance. I thought he played very well. I like the fact that the 3 ball was falling, and I'm kind of thankful that he has found his rhythm from behind the arc because the shot is looking a lot better right now than it's looked in a while. So that's really, really encouraging. 21 points, 3 blocks, 2 steals, 5 assists, 11 boards. That is how you fill up the box score. King James, bravo, brother, +7. The 5 turnovers got on my nerves, as they always do, but this is exactly the type of performance you want to see LeBron James give us on the road, especially on the defensive end, and that's where we've been mad at him lately. He hadn't been giving us enough on the defensive end. He becomes somewhat of a liability. If you're going to have turnovers and missed shots and all that, we need this type of production on the defensive end, and I was very pleased with LeBron James from start to finish. Even at the beginning of the game, he looked like he was in a much better space than the Memphis Grizzlies side did. They looked like they were a little nervous. He was calm, in his mindset, chilling and taking in what was necessary. And I knew that he was going to have a good game because of how he approached the start of the game. And I think we're off to a great start for our playoffs. Absolutely great start. D'Angelo Russell had 19 points, 7 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, 3 of 9 threes. Not the greatest D-Lo game, but he did have a much better second half to make the stats look good because his first quarter was pretty bad. And he was trying to work his way into the equation, missing shots, stuff like that. But he kept chipping away at it, kept working away, and ultimately found a good game out of what was looking like a really tough one. So we're very happy with how that ultimately panned out. Rui Hachimura off of the bench, 29 points, 11 out of 14 field goals, 5 out of 6 threes, and 6 boards. Rui Hachimura was absolutely special tonight. And I told you guys that I wanted us to release the Rui, just like I figured they're going to try to release Kenny Lofton, which they didn't tonight, but he will be making an appearance in this series in a big way at some point. It was important to me that we got off to a good start with Rui Hachimura and established him as a legitimate threat, scoring the ball and defensively for that matter. I thought even though he only had 6 boards, all of those boards were impactful, meaningful boards that you remember him getting. And it's one of those situations where He just was running off threes in a row. They kept on leaving him open. He hit like 3 of them in a row. Then came down and hit a jumper after that. He was just on absolute fire tonight. And I couldn't have been more happy about him just as a whole, especially since his minutes have been kind of sporadic. The rotations we've put him in have kind of been a little iffy. But boy, has he been coming along strong to end the season and started his playoffs right. 29 points, only missed 3 shots, 5 threes. 3 of them were consecutive. Couldn't be more happy with Rui. And then finally, Austin Reeves, who was just as hot in the fourth quarter as Rui was in the third. Austin Reeves went for 23 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. But like most of those points came in the fourth quarter with the last 2 minutes of the game. He only got like 3 or 4 shots in a row. A couple of them were 3-point shots. I mean, he was just magnificent in the fourth quarter, plus 15. I think overall our team showed championship level basketball today. Even though we had ebbs and flows with our rotation in the second quarter, I believe it was. We had a bad quarter where we went to the stuff that doesn't work and proceeded to watch the score go down. Then he got away from that stuff and the score went back up. We had a 37-point quarter in the third quarter when Rui was acting up. We had like a 31-point quarter in the fourth quarter when Austin was acting up. And we had a 31-point first quarter when AD was acting up. So the second quarter is when we started going to Malik Beasley, and it staggered us like it does every night. And maybe, just maybe, after this particular game, we will finally understand what I've understood for the last 2 months. And every time you put Malik Beasley on the floor, regardless of how he's playing, bad things happen around him and the score goes down. It doesn't even matter if he's a part of the play. It's just the fact that you leave him down there to get attacked. We saw them double team him, take the ball from him. We saw him brick a shot. We saw him do some smart things too. He rebounded the ball, making plays for others. But at the end of the day, it's 4-on-5 in a very negative way because he's short and limited, and it just is a bad decision to go to him every night. Your score does the same thing every night, man. Every single night. So it's one of the most consistent things besides Anthony Davis's defense that you're going to find in this entire roster is when Malik comes in, if he's not absolutely scorching hot, the score is going to go the other way. So that's just it, man. I don't know how many times I got to say it in a row for us to actually believe this as a team, but it's clockwork, baby. It's every day. This is every day. So all in all, I wrote down the stats from these guys because I wanted us to have an understanding of how fast of a start we got off to in this series. I don't know how long this series is going to be, how short, whatever the case may be, but this team got off to a blazing start on the road against Memphis, and I thought this might have been the most impressive win we had all year. Really, might have been the most impressive win all year when you consider how dominant we were defensively with those 11 blocks, how well we shot the ball overall as a team. We shot 53% from the field and 43% from the three, which is not bad, 16 out of 37. So, I mean, when you got players as scorching hot as Rui and Reeves were, and then you got Anthony Davis acting up on the defensive end and Bron contributing just the same, it becomes a situation where I don't think too many teams could beat us on a night like this. And we did some things that I thought worked against us, like turning the ball over in ways that we shouldn't have. I think we did turn the ball over more than they did. So that can be shored up, 16 to their 12. So, it's not like we played a perfect game, but we came out with the right intensity. And we just were really, really fortunate to have players, get hot and the ball continued to fall. And one of the things I tell you about the Memphis Grizzlies, and we kind of saw it tonight, is that they give up 3-point shots. They've had several games over the last several weeks where they've had massive games where teams have shot over 20, hit over 23s, and shot over 45%. So they have had nights like this, and the fact that we were able to get off to a blazing start from behind the arc is just a continued trend for the Memphis Grizzlies. It doesn't happen every night, but like every 4 games or so, they really, really, really have trouble from behind the arc. And it's good to see us be able to take advantage of that to start the series. Jaren Jackson, you got to give the other team credit too. Memphis was really good, man. They played really, really good. And I'm not breathing a sigh of relief because Ja Morant may be out. Because at the end of the day, they got Tyus Jones, and Tyus Jones is one of the best point guards coming off the bench for any team in anywhere. So we got to understand that he's going to pick up where they left off and probably, to be honest, make better decisions than Ja will with the ball in a lot of cases, particularly in terms of the floor generalship and helping others get the ball in their spots. So we're not going to relax. He's going to be able to hit a lot of threes. He can go for 30 and 15 just like any other superstar point guard will be capable of if you give him 40 minutes in a night. So I already know Tyus Jones is somebody we must respect to the highest order, and just assume he's just going to break out for the rest of the series if Ja's not there. Desmond Bane needs to be given credit. I told everybody at the beginning of the day that Desmond Bane is not to be looked at the way that he's been looked at all season. You got to ignore all that and look at Desmond Bane from last year and look at Desmond Bane from the year before, who was borderline all-star and one of the best three-point shooters in the game. That is who he's going to beat in this series against us, because he's been healthy long enough to be in the conditioning that would allow him to be in that position at this point. Having been on the floor now healthy for about 2 months or so, that's a nice long stretch of time for him to turn back into himself. And with the playoffs on the line, I expect for him to have a very big series, especially if Ja is out. So we got to respect that. Also, Dylan Brooks, even though his three-point shooting issues reared their ugly head as usual, he did hit some shots in this game, and we got to respect his shot making. Just because he's been a brick fest for a long time does not mean he can't hit big shots. It doesn't mean that you can leave him open. So we saw him hit shots tonight. We got to respect it. Jaren Jackson, obviously, one of the best scorers out there right now for their team. Took advantage of whatever he could out there. Jump hooks over Anthony Davis. You got to give him credit. Hitting three-point shots, blocking shots, rebounding the ball. Jaren Jackson was the best player on the floor for the Memphis Grizzlies by a country mile, man, honestly. And you just got to give him his credit. And you see the bigs go back and forth like he and AD did tonight. You can just tell this is going to be a very spirited series in that front court. So, there was a lot to like on both sides of the floor. Saldama, I believe is his name, hit some shots, for their team. Who else? Just overall, they really had a nice team effort from everybody, man. They really fought hard to the very end. But at the same time, you got to give the Lakers credit. We did what it is that I've been saying I want to see us do down the stretch of basketball games. Don't, slow down the ball with 3 minutes to go. None of that. We had made so many complaints earlier in the season about how we were finishing games from a pace standpoint, how we didn't have no killer instinct, how we weren't dunking on the way out the door, so to speak. My analogy was I want to see us dunking on the way out the door. If we're going to run into the locker room as the buzzer sounds, we need to be dunking on the way out the door. And that way, we're never taking our foot off the gas in regards to the offensive end, because when we do, we tend to let the lead go. And we saw ourselves lose a couple games like that earlier in the season, one against Boston, another against Indiana, where we just didn't respect the need to continue doing the same things that got you there to get you home. And tonight, the Los Angeles Lakers did that very thing. They ran all over, they dunked on the way out the door. The way I want to see us play the game is exactly the way we finished tonight's basketball game, and we won by a great deal because we did it that way. And it's the same thing we should have did it every single time. We could have did this to Boston, this to Indy, this to Philly, and all these different teams. You just keep your foot on the gas. Whatever was working was what they couldn't stop. So keep doing it. And we did that tonight, and I think it's a recipe for success for the LA Lakers. Dunk on the way out the door. Make the team feel you're on a 30-7 run or something to close the game. I think that's what the Lakers did, 30-16 or something. It was crazy. The run the Lakers were on to end this game. And where they scored from quarter to quarter was just very impressive, with the exception of the second quarter, which was the Darvin quarter. Call it the Darvin quarter because he's going to do something that he thinks makes sense, and it's going to fail, and he's going to get away from it, and the roster takes over, and we start winning again. So that's really what it is. It's the same thing we do every night. And I'm telling you, if he just switch up that roster in that second quarter, if he just goes to something a little better in that second quarter, we have another 30-point quarter, and we won by even more. So, like I said, this was my most fun I've had watching the Laker game. And it couldn't come at a better time because it's playoff time. And we've done a lot of complaining about what we didn't want to see. And I think we saw more of what we do want to see. Rui being featured, Austin getting the ball, AD scoring over 20 points, which is, you want to see him score more, but if everybody else is going to score this great, then you don't really need him to take away from them. Like I said, LeBron James, just want him to work on them turnovers, man. Our game would have been so much better if his unforced turnovers did not take place. How much more would we have won by? When you consider he led the team in turnovers. So these are the type of things we just want to have him sure up as we continue to go on to these playoffs. Because if you're the only person turning the ball over 5 times, 6 times every night, then if you stop doing it, we become a fantastic ball handling team. So that's really what it is, man. I want them turnovers to stop. And that's really what it is, man. I didn't write down everybody's stats. Schroeder, Vanderbilt, I didn't write down their stats, but they did contribute. Of course, Schroeder got in foul trouble. So, we definitely appreciate how he was able to stay out of foul trouble, particularly to close the second quarter when the coach left him out there. He didn't pick up the fourth one. So we definitely appreciate that. And Vanderbilt, just his overall activity, guarding John Morant from the start of the game. And then we put him on Ja near the end before he got hurt. So, I was really pleased to see Vando just going out there, even though the stats didn't represent a lot. He definitely made his presence felt. So, good win. Very good win for the LA Lakers. This is not a done deal. Unfortunately, one win does not win you a series. And we've seen teams win one game to start the series and not win no more. As a matter of fact, the Philadelphia 76ers did that in the finals against us. And if you would have asked them after game one, they had a firm handle on this lead and was going to beat the Lakers, and they didn't win another game after that. So we're not going to go in cocky just because we came out and punched them in the mouth. This is a long series, and one game does not determine a damn thing unless it's game 7 and you're going home afterwards. So we don't want to get too excited after game 1, just like you ain't going to get too excited after a game 5. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. A win is a win. You add it to the column, and then you recalibrate and get ready for whatever's coming next. You make the adjustments necessary. You expect the adjustments will be made as well on their end. I don't imagine they're going to give up 43% shooting threes, 3-point shooting against us. I'm sure they're going to try to tighten up. They're going to play Rui much tougher. They're going to play Reeves much tougher. So these are things we're going to be prepared for. They're not going to get caught off guard by Rui, and I don't expect them to go 5 or 6 from behind the arc very often. 11 for 14. That is a hell of a night for efficient player. I just couldn't be more pleased with him attempting 14 shots and hitting 11 of them. That's the type of featuring that I think he's capable of. This is what I said. Right before we traded for him, he had scored 30 points in the game before we, with the Washington Wizards. And I just think we can get that performance out of him. And so for him to go for 29 tonight, there's more where that came from. We can do that again. And so, to try to give the game ball to any one player is just going to be very difficult. Honestly, in this particular game, I'm sure I'm not the only person who have trouble giving a game ball to one single person. The reality was you had 5 players down there that balled all the way out. That's really what it was. If you want to add to that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, D'Lo. I mean, if you want to add him to that, even though he struggled quite a bit, all in all, he contributed quite a bit as well. And I just couldn't be more happy with the defense of the LA Lakers. We complain a lot about it, but when your team comes out and gets 11 blocks, just about everybody I mentioned has been accounting for defensive stats on both sides. What can I say, man? That's what you need. Defense to offense. The Los Angeles Lakers turned their defense into offense. We got a lot of points off of turnovers. And that's what we want, man. Just put yourself in a position to take advantage of the fact that Memphis is a bit undersized right now. When you see that they really didn't have an answer for Rui Hachimura because everybody else that they had on the floor, they had to account for as well in terms of size. So I think we're going to see more of the same. I do expect Luke Kennard is probably going to have a bigger game in game 2 since he didn't shoot as much tonight. That's an adjustment I know they can make, especially with Ja out. You're going to see a lot more of him, and I don't know if that bodes well for us at all, given that he's the number 1 3-point shooter in the NBA this year, which kind of surprised me. But he is that good, and he's going to continue to ascend as he continues to play, and I think this is a big series for him just overall. So I expect him to have his moments, and we need to be ready for Luke Kennard. So, yeah, that's where my head is, man. I mean, usually when the Lakers play this well, there's less to say. That's just kind of how this goes with the content thing. I'm much more of a talker when I have a lot to complain about, but there was not much. And I think what went wrong was so very glaring that I just think the team is going to take more time to kind of study what they should do in regards to things that they have done that don't work. Malik Beasley, for example, he only got 5 minutes. And I do want to commend Coach for seeing the fruit and taking him out. He did put him back in the fourth quarter. We got away with it. I thought that was a terrible decision given what we know. But Coach is stubborn. When it comes to stuff like this, he's just going to do what he wants to do, regardless if it's something that makes sense or not. To be honest with you, that's what he's shown me. So I just hope that this playoff game and that second quarter scared him into just finally treating Malik Beasley like he treats Max Christie and like he treats Lonnie Walker. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt to treat somebody who's struggling like they're struggling. It really doesn't hurt. So that's what I want to say about that, man. You put him in, and you have to take him right back out. That should tell you something. So that's really what I got to say, man. I was happy to see Max Christie get checked into the game with like 1 minute left in the go. He didn't get the chance to do anything, but at least we reminded ourselves that he's on the floor. He's somebody who can play for us. We didn't use Bamba tonight. Situation where we put Rui Hachimura on Jaren Jackson, and Jaren Jackson went to work. I don't think that's something we should try again. I do believe in Mo Bamba's ability, especially with his length of shooting, his block shots. I mean, you know how many blocks he could have had on a night like tonight? With AD having 11 blocks, Braun having 3 blocks, Mo probably would have got about 5 himself. So these are the type of things I just know we're leaving production on the board when we don't play certain players. And that, of course, leads to other guys playing too much, which leads to them losing their energy, not having it. So I want coach to understand the correlation between keeping our entire team fresh and utilizing all of the talent available to him so that he can have the fullness of the greatness of this roster be realized, as we say a million times over and over and over and over again. We didn't see that tonight, but we did get a victory because guys stepped up. As I tell you, this roster is going to win games no matter what because it is that talented. And that's what we saw tonight, man. This LA Laker team came out on the road against a Memphis Grizzlies team with a lot of energy. Hit them in the mouth. Hit them in the mouth like I thought they would hit us. And I'm very, very proud of our effort and our focus and our overall defensive intensity. Also, when you score 128 points, you ain't do too bad. 128 points is a strong amount. And when you look around and seeing the type of teams that are out there, the way the defense is being played by this Memphis Grizzlies team, and you score 128 points on them, there are not too many teams in the league better defensively than the Memphis Grizzlies. Not many. So that gives me a whole lot of encouragement in regards to what we're capable of against lesser defenses, assuming, which is not smart, but assuming we're able to advance. And I am not one to assume we're going to do anything other than play a game 2 very hard. And I'm very thankful that we are healthy. I'm very thankful that Anthony Davis's arm is not hurt. I do think that my initial thought in regards to D'Lo should stand. We're going to have to use him a bit more sparingly in these playoffs than we want to with those calluses on his foot. He's not going to play as his normal self if he's dealing with bad wheels, y'all. You know what I mean? And I say the same thing about AD and Braun, but AD and Braun are great, great, great players. So it's a little different. D'Lo is more reliant upon him, his ability to overcome any pain and other things because he's not overly athletic dude. He's not overly fast dude, so he's going to need his body to be in perfect order in order to be himself. He's more methodical, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to do what he does with bad wheels. So I want us to respect that and scale his minutes back just so that we don't lean on him too much and have him stank up the joint like he did in the first quarter. So more Schroeder, less D'Lo. And that's only because of the feet, man. It's literally only because of the feet. Otherwise, I trust D'Lo, but if he's not 100%, he can be a lesser player out there. He really can, especially on the defensive end. We got to be careful. So, that's really what it is, man. Great win for the LA Lakers. I'm very happy we were able to silence the Memphis Grizzlies in Game 1. And I'm hopeful it's more where that came from. We can definitely beat this team the same way we did tonight, every night. And that's defense to offense with respect to high percentages and trying our very best to select good shots to shoot. 53% from the field. We love that. We love that. We made more than we missed. And I think we shot over 90% from the free throw line too. So guys hit their free throws. All is well when the Lakers take these type of things seriously. So, of course, we noticed the playoffs. So, the next matchup is going to be against this team, obviously, and the next one after that. So, we're just going to get comfy and cozy. We're going to be in Memphis for a couple of days as a team. We ain't going to be coming back home until the end of the week pretty much. So, guys going to get a look at Beale Street and all the different things that are out there to deal with and hopefully schedule enough practices to become even more of a tighter team than we were tonight. Because tonight we looked good, but there are still some things we can do to get a lot better. And, I'm telling people as a Laker fan that I'm looking at these games and I'm taking every possession seriously. I'm taking every game seriously. With that being said, 15 more wins to go. I'm counting like that. I've always counted like that as it pertains to the playoffs because at the end of the day, no matter who you're going against, you need to win 15 more matchups, 16 in total to win a championship. And that's the only thing that should be on the minds of our team as a unit. Because the roster is good enough to do it, man. from night to night to night, we should be able to match up with anything we see. And because of it, I think we have a good chance of winning every basketball game we're in. So, I picked us to win this series in 6. 3 more to go in this series. 15 to go for the ring. And I think the Lakers are well underway to feeling confident enough to go up that hill. Whatever it's going to take, I'm expecting our team to do it. So that's what it is, man. Anthony Davis is the best player on the floor by a long shot tonight. I ain't going to be front, man. He was fantastic. I wish we could have got him a couple more looks on the offensive end, but defensively, you cannot take away the credit that's due. 3 blocks, 12 rebounds, 22 points, 7 blocks, 3 assists. That's what that is. 7 blocks, 3 steals, 3 assists, 12 rebounds, 22 points, 3 turnovers, a +2. You know what I'm saying? I can't take away anything. I don't believe that we win this game without all of the production of all of these hot players. Austin in the 4th, Rui in the 3rd, Braun throughout on both sides of the floor, AD throughout on both sides of the floor. So for me, I'm just pleased with the Lakers as a whole. But for the sake of giving somebody the game ball, I'm going to give the game ball to AD. 7 blocks, 3 steals. That's just too much defense to not give him the credit. 22 points, killing it on the boards, and dealing with double teams and physical play and drawing charges and just ultimately being in the mix in every situation necessary for the LA Lakers tonight. He was huge, man, and I'm giving him the game ball, even though I'm very certain that there are about 3 other people that deserve it, probably just as much. But I'm going to zero it in on AD and continue to encourage him to keep dominating this basketball floor, because if you're the best player on it, chances are you're the best player on the floor for both teams. We can win every game. Chances are he's the best player on the floor for both teams. And that's the craziest thing about it, man. With respect to the field and everybody that's out there, there's some incredibly talented guys. But I don't think there are 5 naturally more gifted and capable basketball players in the whole NBA. I don't think there's 5. When Anthony Davis is 100% healthy and 100% locked in, he is a top 5 player in this league. We can flip-flop on that in regards to how long you think he's going to stay healthy, so whether or not that's really legitimate. Maybe a couple guys may be better or a little worse than him in that same range, but he's in that mix. He's in that Jokic, Giannis, Joel, Braun, whoever's in that conversation, he's in there. He's in there. And this is one of those playoff performances that further solidify that on the defensive end. And we know how much he can do offensively as well, which he didn't even scratch the surface tonight. So I think the NBA is in trouble if he's going to stay healthy. The only chance anybody has of beating the Lakers is if the Lakers have issues with their health, or if coach just does weird stuff with the rotations and leaves the game close for us to lose it. But if we do what we're supposed to do as a unit, everybody does what they're supposed to do surrounding AD, damn it, they can win. They can really win, man. So one game down, 15 to go. And that is exactly how I want us to look at it, man. Every possession counts. Every series is its own monster. Every game is its own monster. But we took care of the first one. So that's what I want to say about that. Salute the Kobe minute. Of course, I forgot to do that as we were passing that 24 mark, but we didn't forget Kobe, especially on playoff night. So happy that we won a 12 o'clock afternoon game. That's also very encouraging on the road. We know we don't really love those games when they're structured that way. But we came out here against Memphis with the right attitude, and we played physical. That's what needs to be said. This team was physical. We pushed people around. We fell. We drew fouls. We took shots. People were getting hit. All types of stuff. It was a physical game on both sides of the floor, and you got to give credit to both teams for showing up. So that's really what it was, man. This game, the score didn't tell the story because we just went crazy in the fourth quarter. Austin Reeves just blew the door wide open, and Anthony Davis and everybody else ran through it. And that's really what it was. Killer instinct was the name of the game tonight. It was absolute utter killer instinct. When you got Rui and Reeves just being dominant down the stretch of a basketball game in the final 2 quarters, and you got emphasis on LeBron James playing hard on the defensive end, and then AD dominating, it's too much, man. You can't have D'Lo going for 19, 7, and 4 with blocking a steal. That's too much for the Memphis Grizzlies on any given night. So that's really what I got to say, man. It's exactly what I got to say, man. I just was really pleased with everybody's overall effort and we want to stay pleased. So that means we got to come out in the next game, work our progressions, continue to adjust to whatever adjustments they make our own adjustments, and get out here and continue to doing what works. Do what works. And don't get fooled into thinking you're a three-point shooting team. Rui, you're not a three-point shooter just because you hit 5 threes. We love that you hit 5 threes. But if you attempt 6 threes on most nights, we don't think 5 will fall. So continue to be as aggressive, because the key to this is 11 out of 14. Not necessarily 5 out of 6 threes, but 11 out of 14. That's that field goal shooting that Rui gave us. He was efficient anywhere he shot. And that is ultimately what catered to why we were so dominant there. So, yeah, man. What can I say, man? I'm going to say this as well. I said something a couple of times throughout the course of this season. I meant it, and I'm going to say it again. I think the Los Angeles Lakers are going to get championship number 18 off of the heart and determination of Austin Reeves. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's going to cater to us getting that championship. Of course, we're going to need our stars to be as good as they were tonight, every night. Rui, all these players are going to play great. But Austin's the killer, clutch, guy on the team. The guy that I say, okay, who's the number one? Who's the killer? Who's the guy that's going to take their heart? It's Austin. Austin has that naturally. He absolutely has that naturally. And he saw it tonight. Down the stretch of the basketball game, the last 3 minutes. Hit a shot, boom. Hit another shot, boom. And one, boom. Make an assist for somebody else, boom. I mean, every single shot down the stretch of those last 3 minutes basically went to him. It was just basically him over and over and over again, closing them out. They couldn't do nothing with him. So I don't remember the last time we had Lakers get this hot in consecutive quarters. Rui going crazy in the third and Reeves going crazy in the fourth. I don't remember the last time that happened. So that just tells you the upside of the team, man. I don't know how teams are going to guard us. I don't know what teams are going to do if Rui's going to start playing like this, because he ain't never played like this for us. So if that's going to be the new norm, which I don't necessarily expect it to, but then you consider Schroeder had a quiet night. You know, other guys didn't have a big night. Troy was extremely quiet. He didn't do nothing. So it's like you're going to get that production even if Rui don't give it to you somewhere else. So, yeah, man, this is what you want to do, Lakers. Try to score as much as you possibly can every night, because at the end of the day, this is a scoring league right now. But the fact that we were able to hold this team to 112 points with the pace that we were playing was very impressive. Of course, a lot of that had to do with Ja exiting in the third quarter. But nevertheless, we definitely appreciate we can take advantage of what we can. And if Ja's going to miss game 2, which it looks like there's a good chance he does, or maybe more than that, honestly, then I think the only thing for the Lakers to do is continue to have that killer instinct, smell blood, and take a bite out of the Memphis Grizzlies. You know what I mean? Take a strong bite out of them in game 2. And let's get this thing back to LA with a comfortable 2-0 lead. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but the way things are looking right now, the way we came out in this game, we think we should be able to win game 2 as well, especially if Ja ain't out there. Now, what I do expect is a much more tight defensive game out of the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't suspect they're going to allow us to score 128 points in the second game of this matchup on their home floor. In fact, I expect the game to probably be a lot more defensive. But then again, what are they going to do to stop all of this? I can say they're going to do that, but the adjustments have to be made, and I'm not sure where they're going to make them with the size disadvantages that they ultimately have for so much of what it is that we put on that floor tonight. So we're big, man. AD, Braun, and Rui, that makes us big. And then you consider D'Lo and Reeves' length, that's long. And, of course, the other players as well, Vando, all these guys. We're just a big team if we just simply don't go to Beasley ever. We'll be very big. Even Dennis Schroeder, he plays bigger than he is because he's such a fantastic slide-to-side defensive player who often does find ways of getting stops. So the Los Angeles Lakers are as good as they look, man. And we came out tonight, showed the NBA world that we're serious. The NBA is on notice. The Memphis Grizzlies on notice. We came in your house, smacked you in the mouth. So that's what I got to say, man. 3 more wins to go to take care of this team. And with Ja out, we got to keep that foot on the gas, man. Do not let up. And if he isn't out there, we definitely need to win the game that he's not going to be a part of, because I don't suspect that if he were to miss time, he would miss too much of it. So that's just what I'm saying. I don't know what the heck is going on with that hand at all. But hopefully he isn't out for the rest of the series, because we do want Ja to be healthy. So that is what I gotta say, man. I tried to stretch this video out to as long as usually they are, but I really stopped needing to say anything after the 18-minute mark, to be honest with y'all, man. I just want to give you the quality you used to, but the Los Angeles Lakers gave me less to complain about, which is less to talk about. So we're happy. Happy is the word. Pleased is the word. Thrilled is the word. Entertained is the word. We were definitely entertained with today's matchup, and I just want to see the Los Angeles Lakers continue to keep their foot on the gas in this series. And yeah, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I'm always thinking about rest. And I do believe that if we can end this series earlier, it bodes much better for us if we were to win it than to stretch this thing out to my predicted 6 games. So with us winning the first game in this fashion, I have less patience with us not playing well against this team. I really do. If Ja ain't going to be on the floor, we should be able to out-rebound them, for which we did by 11 points, 11 rebounds tonight. We should be able to outscore them, especially if we defend the perimeter as well as we're capable of. And our size mismatches in the paint and our ability to shoot from mid-range. Austin was taking advantage of that. Rui's capable of that. Schroeder's capable of that. We want to continue to do that. AD also shoots some mid-range very well. We want to continue to take advantage of them in the pick and roll. So those are things I was thinking about, man. Very well done, LA. Very well done. Let's keep them turnovers down the next game. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.